everyone, Liz here again, and this time I'm gonna read to you The Secret Diary of Laura Palmer. And I actually wasn't planning on doing an intro for this one because I thought it would come off a little bit more naturally if I just went in reading it, but I thought about it and I figure it's worth mentioning, if it wasn't obvious, that this book is a tie-in book with the TV series Twin Peaks, and if you have any interest in not getting a lot of really good stuff spoiled for you, I would highly recommend watching it before you listen to this. And hey, it's coming back early next year, so it might be something worth thinking about. But yeah, really that was all I wanted to say about it, so spoiler warning, and here we go. July 22nd, 1984. Dear Diary, my name is Laura Palmer, and as of just 3 short minutes ago, I officially turned 12 years old. It is July 22nd, 1984, and I've had such a good day. You were the last gift I opened, and I could hardly wait to come upstairs and start to tell you about all myself and my friends and my family. You'll be the one I confide in the most. I promise to tell you everything that happens, everything I feel, everything I desire, and every single thing I think. There are some things I can't tell anyone. I promise to tell these things to you. Anyway, when I came down for breakfast this morning, I saw that Mom had hung streamers all through the house, and even Dad put on a party hat and tooted away on a kazoo for a while. I didn't think Donna and I would ever stop laughing. Oh, Donna's my very best friend in the whole world. Her last name is Hayward, and her father, Dr. Hayward, delivered me 12 years ago today. I can't believe I finally made it. Mom cried at the table because she said before I know it, I'll be a grown-up woman. Yeah, sure. It's gonna take years for me to even get my period, I just know it. She's crazy if she thinks I'll be grown up in no time, especially if she keeps giving me stuffed animals for my birthday. Today was just the way I wanted it to be, with only Donna and Mom and Dad there, and Jupiter, my cat, of course. For breakfast, we had apple pancakes, which are my favorite, with lots of maple syrup and sourdough toast. Donna gave me the blouse I saw in the window at Horn's department store, and I know she bought it with her allowances because she was saving all of them for a long time and wouldn't tell me why. It's the most beautiful blouse you've ever seen. It is white and silky and has tiny embroidered roses all over it, but not so many that it looks bad. It's just perfect. On Donna's birthday, I'm going to get her something extra special, too. My cousin Madeline, Maddie for short, is visiting tomorrow for a whole week. She and Donna and I are going to build a fort in the woods and camp out if Mama let us. I know Dad will. He likes the woods as much as I do. One night, I had a dream that Dad moved us to a house deep in the woods, and my bedroom had a big tree outside the window with 2 songbirds nesting there. I'll be back in a minute, Diary. Dad is calling to me from downstairs. He says he has a surprise. I'll tell you everything when I get back. Love, Laura. July 22nd, 1984, later. Dear Diary, you will never, ever believe what just happened. I went downstairs and Dad told Mom and I to get in the car and not to ask any questions until we got to where we were going. Of course, Mom asked questions the whole way. I didn't mind because I thought maybe something would slip out of Dad's mouth, but it didn't. So I just kept quiet so that I wouldn't lose my surprise. When I pulled up to the Broken Circle stables, I knew. Daddy bought me a pony. Diary, he's so beautiful, much more beautiful than I could have ever dreamed. His colors are cinnamon red and deep brown, and his eyes are big and sweet. Mom couldn't believe it when she saw it, and she started asking Dad how he managed to do it without anyone knowing. Dad said it would ruin the surprise if she knew, and he's right. Mom nearly had a heart attack when she saw me underneath the pony's legs trying to find out if it was a boy or a girl. I barely had to look to find out that it was a boy. Like I've never seen one of those before. Mom doesn't know her little girl the way she thinks she does. Back to my pony. I decided his name should be Troy, like the pony in Mrs. Larkin's photo book. Zippy, who works at the stables, said he would make a nameplate for me that says Troy in big letters, and he'll hang it right in front so that everyone will know his name when they see him. Troy's still too young to ride, but in 2 months I'll be able to get on and just race through the fields. Today I walked him and fed him carrots. Dad brought them with us in the trunk, and a cube of sugar that Zippy gave me. Troy loved all of it. Before I left him, I whispered in his warm, soft ear that I would see him tomorrow and that I would write all about him here in my diary. I can't wait to show him to Donna. I almost forgot Maddie will see him too. On the way home from the stables, Dad said that Troy and I will have the same birthday, because when a pony is given as a gift to someone who will love them, they share everything. So happy birthday to Troy too. I'm glad I don't know where he came from, because this way it's almost as if heaven sent him down just for me. Anyway, diary, tomorrow is a big day, and tonight I'll sleep very well, dreaming of Troy and all the time we shall spend together. I'm the luckiest girl in the world. Love, Laura. P.S. I hope Bob doesn't come tonight. July 23rd, 1984. Dear Diary, it is very late at night, and I can't sleep. I've had nightmare after nightmare, and have finally chosen to avoid sleeping altogether. I figure Maddie will be tired from her ride out here and will want to take a nap tomorrow anyway, so I can sleep then. Maybe if the sky is light when I sleep, my dreams won't be so dark. One of them was just awful. I woke up crying, and I was afraid Mom would come in if she heard me, and I just want to be alone right now, and she wouldn't understand that. She always comes in and sings Waltzing Matilda to me when I can't sleep, or like tonight when I have bad dreams. It's not that I don't want her to sing to me. It is just that there's this strange man in my dreams singing just that song in Mom's voice, and it frightened me so much I could hardly move. In the dream, I was walking through the woods out by the Pearl Lakes, and there was this very strong wind, but only around me. It was hot, the wind. And about 20 feet away from me, there was this man with long hair and very large, calloused hands. They were very rough, and he held them out to me as he sang. His beard didn't blow in the wind because the wind was only around me. The tips of his thumbs were black like coal, and he wiggled them around in circles as his hands got closer to me. I kept walking toward him, even though I didn't want to at all because he frightened me so much. He said, "I have your cat," and Jupiter ran behind him and off into the woods like a little white speck on a piece of black paper. He just kept singing, and I tried to tell him I wanted to go home, and I wanted Jupiter to come with me, but I couldn't talk. Then he lifted his hands up in the air, very, very high, like he was growing bigger and taller every minute, and as his hands went up, I felt the wind around me stop, and everything went silent. I thought that he was letting me go because he could read my mind. At least it felt that way. And so when he stopped, the wind with his hands like that, I thought he was letting me free, letting me go home. Then I had to look down because there was this heat between my legs, not nice warm, but hot. It burned me, and I had to spread my legs open so they would cool, so that they would stop burning, so hot. and they started spreading by themselves like they were gonna snap off my body, and I thought, I'm gonna die this way. And how will anyone understand that I tried to keep my legs closed, but they burned, and I couldn't? And then the man looked at me and smiled this awful smile, and in Mom's voice he sang, "You'll come a waltzin', Matilda, with me." And I tried to talk again, but I couldn't. And I tried to move, but I couldn't do that either, and he said, "Laura, you are home." And I woke up. Sometimes when I'm dreaming, I feel trapped there and so frightened. Now, when I look at what I just wrote, it doesn't seem so scary. Maybe I'll write down all of my dreams from now on so that I won't have to be afraid of them. One night last year, I had such an awful dream that the whole next day in school I couldn't work. Donna thought I was going nuts because every time she said my name or touched my shoulder in class to pass a note, I jumped. I wasn't going nuts like Nadine Hurley or anything, but I was still feeling like I was in a dream. I don't really remember it, but all I know was, in the dream, I was in a lot of trouble because I hadn't passed this weird test where you have to help a certain number of people across this river in a boat. And I couldn't do it because I just wanted to swim or something, and so they sent someone after me to touch me in bad, mean ways. I don't remember anymore, and I guess it's no loss. I'm so tired of waiting to grow up. Someday it'll happen, and I'll be the only person who can make me feel bad or good about anything I do. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm getting pretty tired. Laura. July 23rd, 1984. Dear Diary, Cousin Maddie will be here any minute. Dad went to pick her up at the station by himself because Mom wouldn't let him wake me. I slept until just 15 minutes ago. No dreams at all, except Mom says she heard me calling out to her and then I hooted like an owl. I'm so embarrassed. She said she came into my room and I was half asleep, but I hooted again, and then she says I giggled and rolled over and went back to sleep. I hope she doesn't tell anyone about this. She always tells people things like that when we have dinner parties with the Haywards or something. It always starts with, "Laura did the sweetest, most odd thing," and I know it's coming. Like, one night, she said, right in front of everyone, that I'd sleptwalked into the kitchen one night just before she was going to bed. I took off all my clothes, stuffed them in the stove, and went back to bed. Now, every time I go to the stove at the Haywards when Donna and I help with dinner, Miss Hayward makes a joke about whether or not I realize that the stove is a stove and not a washing machine. Mom had been drinking the night she told that, so I forgave her. But if she tells anyone I hooted, I'll just die. I don't suppose there's ever a time that parents stop being a source of constant embarrassment to their children. Mine are no exception. Maybe if I could stop doing stupid things in my sleep, she wouldn't have to tell any people anything. More later. Hoot hoot. July 27th, 1984. Dear Diary, I have so much to tell you. These words come to you from the inside of a fort that Donna and Maddie and I built. Dad and Mom said it was okay as long as we just stayed out back. We used wood that Ed Hurley gave us, and Dad hammered everything together. Donna says that if a storm came up, it would all be over for us, but I have a feeling that it would stand no matter what happened. Maddie is so pretty now. She's 16 years old, and I'm so jealous of her life. I wish I were 16. She has a boyfriend at home that she already misses, and he called her at the house earlier just to make sure she got there all right. Dad teased her about how cutesy she was on the phone, but Maddie didn't mind. Donna thinks that when she has a steady boyfriend, she'll probably be 40 years old and going deaf. I told her she was crazy, because boys already like both of us. We're just too smart to go out with them. I wonder what it will be like when someone besides my parents loves me, and I feel calm when I travel to make sure that I'm alright. Anyway, earlier we all went to see Troy at the stables and brushed and fed him. Both Donna and Maddie said that they'd never seen such a beautiful pony in their lives. I wonder what I did to deserve him. Donna has been wishing for a pony for years too, and her father never bought her one. I wonder how long Troy will live, and if I will cry forever when he dies. Donna just saw what I wrote about Troy's dying, and she says I think too many sad thoughts, and that if I keep it up, who knows what'll happen. Donna doesn't know everything I know. I can't help but think sad thoughts sometimes. Sometimes they're the closest things to my mind. Mom packed us sandwiches in 2 thermoses, one filled with milk, ice cold, the other with hot chocolate. Maddie won't drink more than 1 cup of the hot chocolate because she says it gives her zits. I don't see a zit on her face anywhere. She started her period 3 years ago and says it's just a nightmare. It gives you acne and cramps, and you're tired and angry all the time you have it. Great. Something else to look forward to. Mom got her period when she was my age, and I only hope that doesn't mean I'll get mine this year too. Now that Maddie has described it to me, I'm not at all interested. All of us are eating sandwiches and drinking milk and writing in our diaries. Maddie's is so big and full. Donna's is more full than mine, but I'm gonna make you bigger than Maddie's is. I like the idea of keeping my thoughts all in one place, like a brain you can look into. We hung a flashlight from the top of the fort so that the light comes down and we can all see. A little bit of light came from the house windows, but we covered it up because we all agreed that it ruined the feeling of being out in the woods alone. All of the blankets and food already make us feel like we're exactly where we are, in the backyard. Maddie says she brought a pack of cigarettes with her, and that later, after Mom and Dad are asleep, if we want to, we can try one. She says they're stale because she's had them for months but hasn't touched them because she's afraid her parents will find out. Maybe I'll try one. Donna says she doesn't want to, and Maddie and I said we wouldn't pressure her because real friends don't do that. But I'll bet you I could make Donna smoke one just by giving her the right look. I just bet you. More later. I'm back. We've been laughing so hard, all of our stomachs ache from it. Maddie was describing how she kisses her boyfriend with her tongue, and it made Donna and me crazy. Donna made a face, and she said she didn't like the idea of tongue kissing, and I pretended to think the same, but honestly, diary, when I heard how you do it, I got a very strange, funny feeling in my stomach. Different from... never mind. I got the feeling that I might like tongue kissing, and I'm gonna try it with a boy I like as soon as I can. Maddie said she was afraid at first, but she's been doing it for a year now and she loves it. I told both of them about last month when I had a fever and went into my parents' bedroom and saw them naked with Dad on top. I just left the room and Mom came to see me a few minutes later with some aspirin and 7-Up. She never said a word about it. Donna says they were definitely having sex, and I already knew that, but they didn't seem to like it. They just seemed to be moving very slowly and not even really looking at each other. Maddie thinks it was probably just a quickie. Ugh, my parents having sex. What a gross thing. I know that's where I came from, but I don't care if I never see that again. I'm promising right now that if and when I ever have sex, it'll be a lot more fun than that. Well, Mom and Dad just came to say goodnight to us and to tell Donna that her parents called and said she didn't have to go to church tomorrow so that she can sleep in with us. We were all glad to hear that. Dad made us all close our eyes and open our hands, and he stuck a candy bar in each of them and told us not to tell Mom. Then Mom came in and handed me a little bag and said, "Don't tell your father." There were 3 more candy bars in the bag. Maddie just looked at her candy and sighed. "Zets," was all she could say. But she tore into both of them, and we all forced both candy bars into our mouths and tried to sing, "Row, row, row your boat," while our mouths were full. Donna said the chewed candy looked like something Troy would leave for us, and we all had to spit it out. Maddie told a pretty good story, a scary one, about a family that goes away for the night and comes home to find people hiding in their house waiting to kill them all. There was more to it than that, but I'm not so sure how much I want to remember about it later on. I don't want to feed my dreams. Donna got out of the fort to pee, and Maddie told me that she'd been having some bad dreams too. She said she didn't want to talk about them in front of Donna because maybe she wouldn't understand. She says she's been having dreams of me in the woods. Donna came back and Maddie wouldn't say any more. I wonder if Maddie has seen the long-haired man or the wind. Maddie writes poems in her diary because she says that they are sometimes more fun to write than just the old boring stuff. And just in case anyone ever saw your diary, they might not understand everything if it was in poems. I'll try that tomorrow. More later. Aha! I told you I could get Donna to try a cigarette. Maddie brought them out and lit one of them, and then she passed it to me to try. I like blowing smoke out of my mouth. Sort of like a spirit coming out of me. A dancing, flowing, wispy spirit. Like I was a grown-up woman with people all around me, just staring like they wanted to be me. Even Donna said I looked like a mature person when I smoked. I didn't even inhale, so I wonder what it would be like if I did. Donna was next, and before she could say no, I just said, I'm glad I tried it, and I don't ever have to do it again if I don't want to. So she took it and made a few puffs of smoke in the fort. She looked good smoking too, but she got kind of scared and sucked some smoke in and started coughing really loud, so we put out the cigarette and aired the fort out real quick in case Mom and Dad woke up. I think I'll buy a pack of cigarettes someday and just keep them like Maddie does. I'm not going to get hooked or anything. I'm too careful. Well, we're going to bed now, and all of us are signing off on our diaries. Good night to you. I think you and I shall be wonderful companions. Love, Laura. July 29th, 1984. Dear Diary, here is a poem. From the light in my window, he can see into me, but I cannot see him until he is close, breathing with a smile at my window. He comes to take me, turn me round and round. Come out and play, come play. Lie still, lie still, lie still. Little rhymes and little songs, pieces of the forest in my hair and clothes. Sometimes I see him near me, but I know he can't be there. Sometimes I feel him near me, and I know it is something just to bear. When I call out, no one can hear me. When I whisper, he thinks the message is for him only. My little voice inside my throat, I always think there must be something that I've done, or something I can do. But no one comes to help, he says. A little girl like you. July 30th, 1984. Dear Diary, Maddie brought a bunch of clothes with her, and she had me try all of them on in front of the mirror. She could tell I was feeling depressed about something, I guess. Some of her clothes are very beautiful. I liked the way they made me feel, especially the short skirt and the high heels with the little fluffy white sweater. Maddie said I looked like Audrey Horne. She's the daughter of the man, Benjamin Horne, that my father works for. Benjamin is very, very, very rich. Audrey is a pretty girl, but she's quiet and sometimes mean. Her father just doesn't pay much attention to her, and that's probably why she acts that way. He has been very attentive to me, however, all of my life. Each time there is a party or a get-together at the Great Northern, Benjamin puts me on his lap or knee and sings to me softly in my ear. Sometimes I feel very bad for Audrey, because when she sees him singing to me, it must make her sad, because she often runs from the room and doesn't come back until her mother makes her. Other times, I kind of feel good when she runs off, like I'm the center of attention and that I'm more special to him than his own daughter. I know that isn't nice to say, but I'm just being honest. Be very honest. I think I liked the way I looked in Maddie's clothes, too. Something stirred inside me, like a bubble. The way you feel on a carousel when you're not used to the up and down of it yet. I'll bet if I dressed this way all the time, things would be very different. Maddie and I took a walk later on, but of course in our jeans and t-shirts. Twin Peaks doesn't see many high heels and short skirts without banners all around announcing a dance or festival. We walked to Easter Park and sat in the gazebo for a while. Maddie said that her life at home is fine, except for the sometimes unbelievable nosiness of my parents. I made sure to quote her exactly there because I thought it was so well put. She said that there are a lot of things in life, she thinks, that don't seem right at first, and then you settle into them. Maybe that's how I should start thinking. Maybe I should be a better person and not think so much all the time about what's happening to me. I hope someday soon I'll be good enough at this to rid myself of all the things that trouble me so. Things I still cannot even describe other than in bits and pieces. If I am a better person, and if I try harder every day, perhaps all of this will work out. Love, Laura. July 30th, 1984, later. Someday growing up will come easier. Deep inside are women's hills about to come up, to see the sky, to see the sun and moon, and the tiny stars in the back of a man's hand. Sometimes in the morning, I'll look across myself, see hills and valleys forming, think of rivers underground. Outside me, I am blooming. Inside, I am dry. If only I could understand the reason for my crying. If only I could stop this fear of dreaming that I'm dying. August 2nd, 1984. Dear Diary, I haven't written for a very long time, and for that I am truly sorry. Maddie left 3 days ago, and I feel very frightened inside about something I do not understand. One good thing happened. In the middle of the night last night, I had the most wonderful sensation inside me, like something warm in my chest and warm between my legs. My whole body went inside out, it seemed, and I felt like I could just float away. I think I had one of those orgasms in my sleep. It's so awful and so embarrassing to write, but kind of nice at the same time. Right after it, I had this fantasy that a boy came into my room and put his hand across my nightgown and touched me softly. He whispered nice, gentle things, and then said I had to lie very still or he would leave. Then he pulled me to the end of the bed by my feet and when my knees were bent over the end of my mattress, he made me close my eyes, and I felt him open me up, bigger and bigger, and I had to look to see what was happening, and when I did, he was gone. But I looked at my stomach, and I was pregnant. He was inside me, but small, like a baby. I wish it hadn't ended like that. I don't know why my brain did that. I liked it better when he was pulling me down gently and taking soft control. Laura. August 7th, 1984. Dear Diary, I spent the afternoon with Troy today, cleaning him and brushing him and feeding him. I was fascinated by how much he seems to understand how I'm feeling. He nuzzled up against me for a long time, and while I brushed his mane and head, and when I sat down in the corner of his stall, he lowered his head, and I let him breathe all across my neck and face. I wonder if people fall deeply in love with horses the way I love mine, or if I'm wrong to be thinking or feeling any of these things. I wish Donna were here. I really wish Maddie were here. I'm going to call Donna and see if she can come over for a sleepover or something. Maybe I could go there. That might be even better. Sometimes my bedroom is the best place in the world, and other times it is like a place that closes in and suffocates me. I wonder if it's like that when you die, suffocating, or if it's like they say it is when you're in church, that you float up and up until Jesus sees you and takes your hand. I'm not sure I want to be near Jesus when I die. I might make a mistake, even just a small one, and upset him. I don't know enough about him to know what might make him mad. Sure, the Bible says he's forgiving and has died for my sins and loves everyone no matter their faults. But people say I am the perfect daughter, the happiest girl in the world, and one without any troubles, and that is not true at all. So how will I know if Jesus is really like me? Scared and bad sometimes, even though most people might not know how and when. I'll probably be a gift to Satan if I am not careful. Sometimes when I have to see Bob, I think I'm with Satan anyway, and that I'll never make it out of the woods in time to be Laura, good and true and pure, ever again. Sometimes I think that life would be so much easier if we didn't have to think about being boys or girls or men or women or old or young or fat or thin. If we could all just be certain we were the same. We might be bored, but the danger of life and of living would be gone. I'll be back after I call Donna. Donna said she wishes we could do something together tonight, but her family is having family night tonight. I guess it's just me and you, Diary. Maybe we can go out to the woods soon and smoke one of the cigarettes Maddie left for me. There are 4 of them, and I hid them carefully in the bedpost. That's where I hide notes from school I don't want Mom to find when she's in here cleaning/snooping. You know, Mom stuff. I love her, but she doesn't always understand what I try to tell her. She'd probably have a heart attack if she knew all of the things that go on in my head. Anyway, the knob comes off and there's a hole in there. Dad would call it a cavity. It is about 4 inches deep, and it's the perfect hiding place. You can't even tell the knob comes off as long as there's a purse strap or sweater over the post. So maybe we can go out, just you and I with a flashlight and a cigarette, and just talk to each other. I know you, more than even Donna, can keep a secret. I could never tell Mom about the sexy stuff I think about. I'm afraid that if I let it come out of my mouth that God will hear, or that someone else will know how bad I am and they'll say, "Nobody else ever thinks things like that." I'll bet they don't. I bet I'll never get the man I want, because anytime we try to kiss or fool around, he'll think I'm a crazy person who is sick and weird. I hope I'm not. I would be so awfully sad if that were true. How could I stop thinking the way that I do? I can't stop my mind from wanting to think things like that. The thoughts that make my body warm and my chest go up and down, filling with air and letting go, the way they do in books and movies, but still different because they never talk about the fantasies I have. I'm going to go downstairs for dinner now. I wish I could fit you in the bedpost too. For now, I'll tape you to the wall behind my bulletin board. I hope you won't fall. More later, Laura. August 11th, 1984. Well, diary. Here we are. About a mile from home, just before dark. The summer months seem to make the woods less dangerous until later at night. It's warm out, and you and I are sitting together, leaning at the base of a great tree, a Douglas fir. Dawn isn't my favorite. When I look up, it is like the tree is cradling me. I think I'll smoke that cigarette. I brought a soda just so I could put the ashes in the butt in the can so as to not set the whole town of TP on fire. We call Twin Peaks TP in school sometimes. The world wipes its butt with TP. Bobby Briggs says that the most. Then he pulls all the girls' hair and makes burping noises in our faces. He likes us all, of course. I was in the double R one day after school, and he came in just after me and tugged on my hair super hard. Norma winked at me and asked if we had set the date for the wedding yet. She's off her rocker if she thinks I go near him. Any boy I go near won't be pulling on my hair like that. I think he'd pull on my hair the way they do in my fantasies, with their whole hand, slowly making a fist at the back of my head and pulling me close for a tongue kiss. I wonder if all penises look the way Dad's does. I can still see Mom trying to cover it with the sheet that night. It sort of reminded me of something raw, something that might be okay in a while, or was okay a while ago, before someone pulled all the skin off it and it got it looking all pink and weird. Maybe I'll see a nicer one someday. God, I hope I do. I won't lie there like Mom did, just like a fish on the dock trying to learn how to breathe out of water. Little tiny huffs and puffs, but nothing else. If I can find the right man, maybe I'll be comfortable enough to act just the way I think girls should when they're with someone. Half in control and half... I don't know the word. Maybe I'm getting too nasty. I would just die if anyone saw what I've written. The owls have started hooting. One of them is just above me in the tree. Something about him is strange. I know it is a boy owl, and I feel like he's watching me. Each time I look up at him, his head moves like he's quickly turning away from me. I wonder if he knows what I've been writing. God, I'd better start being a very good girl right away. Perhaps he is a bird like in that story I read. This big bird could swoop down and rest on someone's shoulder, acting very sweet, but would then read the person's mind. If the person was thinking bad thoughts, the bird would peck away at the person's eyes and ears, so that there would only be questions of sound and sight in the person's head, instead of bad and nasty thoughts. I dream of flying sometimes. I wonder if birds dream of going to school or to work sometimes, having suits and dresses instead of the feathers we dream of. I would fly right over Twin Peaks and out over the land beyond it. I'd never come back if I didn't have to. I'll write a poem and then head home. Inside me, there is something no one knows about, like a secret. Sometimes it takes over, and I drift back deep into darkness. This secret tells me I will never grow older, never laugh with friends, never be who I should if I ever reveal its name. I cannot tell if it is real or if when I dream of it, for when it touches me, I drift off. No tears come, no screams. I am wrapped up in a nightmare of hands and of fingers and of small, tiny voices in the woods. So wrong, so beautiful, so bad, so Laura. I have to go home now. Now. It is too dark. This is not a nice place to be right now. Laura. August 16th, 1984. Dear Diary, never before in my life have I been so confused. It is 5:30 exactly in the morning, and I can barely hold this pen. I am shaking so much. I've been in the woods again, lost, but have been led. I think I'm a very bad person. Tomorrow I will start a new way of living. I will not think any more bad thoughts. I will not think any more about sex. Maybe he'll stop coming if I try harder to be good. Maybe I could be like Donna. She's such a good person. I am bad. Laura. P.S. I promise to be good. August 31st, 1984. Dear Diary, I have not written in ages to you because I've been trying so hard to be happy and good and around people all the time so that I'm never alone to think about the wrong things. Today I must write to you, though, to tell you of the news. I got my period. It's not at all what I thought it would be. School starts next week, and now this? I was getting out of bed this morning and saw the blood. I called for Mom, and she, of course, made this enormous deal out of the whole thing. She called Dad when I told her not to tell anyone, and now everyone probably knows about the Great Northern. All I wanted was some damn pads or something, and she has to go into all of this stuff about how I'm now a woman and everything. Okay, so it is kind of special, but this can only make things worse if I'm not careful. I'm in bed now with cramps. Mom moved the television into my room, which was nice, and I have a heating pad on my belly and tons of aspirin on my nightstand. Television doesn't interest me much, so I'm left once again with strange thoughts of life and of other things. I guess what is coming from me was to be the life source of some other being. I am glad there is no one beside me right now. At least, not a child. Sometimes I think there's someone inside me, but it is another, stranger part of me. Sometimes I see her in the mirror. I don't know that I ever want to have children of my own. Something happens to parents or people who become parents. I think they forget they were ever children themselves and that things might embarrass or upset their kids sometimes. But they've just forgotten or decided to ignore that. Too many bad things happen to me sometimes late at night, so I would probably not be such a good mother. This makes me sad inside. I am glad of one thing. Jupiter's beside me in bed and he's purring away softly. Like you, he would never criticize me. Laura. September 1st, 1984. Dear Diary, my breasts ache, which is almost silly because they're so tiny. I'll admit they're bigger than they were last week and certainly nicer looking. always hard at the little pink tips, but God, they hurt. Mom came in earlier and we actually had a nice talk. I told her I wished she hadn't told Dad about my period, and she apologized, but said she only did it because she knew how proud he would be of his little girl's becoming a woman. She changed the water in my heating pad and rubbed my stomach for a long time. We didn't need to say anything to each other for a long while, and still I felt like we were talking. She crawled into bed with me for about an hour after that and let me fall asleep on her shoulder. We shared a soda when I woke up, and for the first time in a long while, I felt like we were really close. I hope I can sleep through the night tonight. Love, Laura. September 9th, 1984. Dear Diary, I've discovered something about myself. Do you remember that night I told you I woke up with that wonderful feeling? Well, there is a special place in my body that lets me feel that as often as I like. A warm, wonderful place where everything else melts away and I'm free to just feel good. My little secret red button. This is all mine. Finally something that will take me away along with my fantasies. I can do it in my bed, very softly with my fingertip, which is so sweet. I can do it in the bathtub with the water as it pours out of the faucet. I never knew a bath could be so enjoyable. Or in the shower with a small stream of water coming from above. I move and jump sometimes and have to grab a pillow to put it over my head so that it's dark and no one can hear me making little noises. It is, after all, a secret, and whether this is right or wrong, I feel very good when it happens, and no one need ever know, except you, dear diary. It's been quite a week with my period coming and all, and now this sweet as honey discovery. Now I am beginning to feel like a woman, and someday very soon perhaps I will share this with someone special. Good night, good night, good night. Laura. P.S. I hope in my heart that I am not doing something that is wrong by touching myself. I hope this is something all girls do, and that I won't be punished for it later. September 15th, 1984. To the person invading my privacy, I cannot believe the distrust I feel in my family and my friends. I know for a fact that my diary was taken and read by someone, maybe several someones. I will not be writing any more in this diary for a long time, if ever. You have ruined my trust and my feeling of security. I hate you for that, whoever you are. On these pages I have written things sometimes too scary or too embarrassing even to read again myself. I trust that these pages are turned only by me, only when I wish. Many things are hurting and confusing me. I need my private pages in order to see my mind outside me. Push it away. Please stay away from this diary. I mean it. Laura. October 3rd, 1985. Dear Diary, I have decided over 12 months later to begin speaking to you again. I have found a hiding place I will not speak of in case you're found outside it and someone nosy wishes to know of its whereabouts. I know it was not your fault someone found you and decided to pry, but it's taken me a long time to feel safe enough to write in your pages again. Many, many things have happened since you last heard from me, and many of these things have proven that my thoughts on the world's being mostly a cruel and sad place are true, and have been confirmed as such. I trust no one, and only rarely myself. I struggle most mornings, afternoons, and evenings with what is right and what is wrong. I do not understand if I'm being punished for something I've done wrong, or something I don't remember, or if this happens to everyone and I'm just too stupid to understand it. First of all, I found out that Dad did not give Troy to me. Benjamin Horn did. The details are not important, but let's just say that I overheard Audrey arguing with her dad about it when I was up at the Great Northern visiting Johnny. Johnny is Audrey's brother, Benjamin's older child. Johnny's slow. He's older than I am, but he has the mentality of a young child. That's what the doctors say, at least. Sometimes I think he's chosen to keep quiet because it's just so much more interesting sometimes to just listen to people instead of talking to them. He never speaks except to say yes or Indian. He loves Indians. He wears a headdress constantly, one made of beautifully colored feathers and dyed strips of leather. In his eyes, the world is a strange mix of happiness and pain, and I think I understand Johnny more than I do a lot of other people. Perhaps I could find a way to spend more time with him. He's so often left alone. I am glad that Troy is my pony, and I love riding him, walking with him, and just watching him graze. Now I feel awkward about Dad. Like he's less of an honest man for claiming that Troy was a gift from him. Maybe Benjamin wanted it that way, I don't know. But no matter what, I am somehow more intrigued by Benjamin now, and I feel like I owe him more than Dad. Sometimes I think that I would rather not have gotten a pony of my own at all, because that way I wouldn't have lost any respect for Dad, and Benjamin would have just been Benjamin. Even worse, Audrey and I will probably never ever get along now. I'm a little sick inside that I am the one who caused this. Also, it gives me a feeling of power. Why do these things happen to me? You know, I think out of all of the men I know in the world, Dr. Hayward has been the most loving to me. He is unselfish, kind, and always shows me a gentle smile of inspiration or forgiveness, or anything that somehow always perfectly fills the gap I feel inside of me. 13 years ago, he brought me into the world and held tight onto my small body for just a moment. In daydreams, I imagine that moment to be one of the warmest there ever was in my life. I love him for holding me, that frightened young child fresh to the air and light, and for making me believe without even a word that he would hold me again if I ever needed him to. He reminds me of someone I wouldn't mind seeing every day of my life, a grandfather's sweetness inside a father's helping hand. I'll be back after dinner. There's plenty of more news. Love, Laura. October 3rd, 1985. Later. Dear Diary, dinner was good tonight. One of my favorite meals, potato pancakes with cream corn toppings and vegetables on the side. I'll have to start changing the way I eat soon, or run the risk of blowing up like a balloon. Mom made it super special for me tonight because she knows I'm still upset about Jupiter. She and Dad ate chicken instead. Jupiter is the other news. Usually he'll go out back and play in the yard area. It isn't fenced in, but he never wandered. I guess he was too smart to leave a home that loved him so much and fed him so well. Even though I didn't write to you often of him, he was one of the most special things in the world to me. Always sweet and gentle. Always loved me no matter what I looked like or what I had done wrong or right for the day. Often on nights that I could not sleep, the two of us would play downstairs with a ball of string, to only the light of the tiny wall lamp. We would enjoy ice cream in the kitchen afterward. He was a true vanilla fan. It would be dark in the house and the two of us prowled together until sleep found us, hours after we had given up on getting any at all. I still have a photo Dad took of Jupiter and me on the living room couch after one of these nights. We hadn't made it back upstairs to sleep and had fallen asleep on the couch instead. I gave the photo of Jupiter to Sheriff Truman so that he could post it in the station. I hope they find whoever hit Jupiter. I know it was probably an accident, because a few minutes before it happened he had found a small mouse or something. I hadn't paid much attention, but he raced off with it and was hit out on the road. Mom heard the noise and called for me to stay where I was until she knew what had happened. But sometimes Mom and I think the same thoughts, have the same dreams, and she knows better than to think I'd stay in my room when I knew. So I didn't listen and went out to see him, still breathing for a few moments afterward, bleeding from his eyes and tummy. I can't believe someone could hit a cat like that, right in the middle of the day, and not tell someone, not think to stop and come to the closest house and report what had happened. Mom heard the car screech, and Dad says he wishes he had been home, because he might have been able to tell what kind of car it was that hit him just by the sound. I doubt it, but it was a nice thought. He's buried outside now, a good friend gone, when I so cherish the few I have. I wish something else would have died instead of Jupiter. To be honest with you, as I always am, many people in Twin Peaks like me. Lots know my name, and especially at school I feel quite popular. The only problem is that I don't really know any of these people the way they think they know me. And I think I'm safe in saying they don't know me at all. Donna knows the most. But still, I'm afraid to tell her of my fantasies and my nightmares, because sometimes she's good at understanding, and other times she just giggles, and I don't have the nerve to ask why things like that are funny to her. So I feel badly again and shut up about it for a long time. I love Donna very much, but sometimes I worry that she wouldn't be around me at all if she knew what my insides were like. Black and dark, and soaked with dreams of big, big men, in different ways they might hold me and take me into their control. A fairy princess who thinks she's been rescued from the tower, but finds that the man who takes her away is not there to save her, but instead to go inside her, deep, to ride her as if she were an animal, to tease her and make her close her eyes, and listen as he tells her all that he does, step by step. I hope that's not a bad thing to think. Love, Laura. October 12th, 1985. Dear Diary, I tried a marijuana cigarette the other night. Donna and I had a sleepover at her place, but her parents were out for the night. Went out for the night with mine to the Great Northern for a party Benjamin was throwing. Donna and I didn't really want to go, and I especially didn't want to because of Audrey. I talked Donna into riding our bikes up to the bookhouse to meet some new people. It took me forever to convince her I wouldn't tell anyone, and that we'd be back before our parents. Finally, she agreed because both of us have been terribly bored with all the same faces around all the time. We were barely there a half hour before these guys, Josh and Tim, and one other one, but I can't remember his name, came up to us. I was smoking a cigarette that I stole from the reception desk of the Great Northern one day when I brought Johnny an Indian storybook. They thought we were older because one of us was smoking, so Josh came up with Tim and the other guy. They said they were from Canada, and there was no doubt about that because they couldn't stop saying, "Eh? Want a better cigarette, eh?" Tim liked Donna right away, which freaked her out a little, because all three of them looked like they were 20 years old. None of them rocked my boat. They all looked like nice guys. I felt pretty safe, but not excited. You know what I mean? Anyway, I said I wanted to try a better cigarette, and Donna and I followed them out to the back of the bookhouse to do it. Donna made this elaborate story up about how we were just visiting Twin Peaks for the night, and that we had to meet our tour bus in less than an hour. She said we were on a tour called Roundabout the Woods. I guess they believed her because they hurried up and lit the thing right up. Josh said we might not feel it the first time, but Donna and I proved him wrong. He said we had to hold it in, eh? And we did, 6 times. Diary, it was amazing. Talk about feeling relaxed and warm and a little bit sexy. I called Donna Trisha and she called me Bernice, just in case they ever came back and asked for us, for any reason. We didn't want anyone to know. So we were absolutely laughing, harder than I ever have before, Every single thing I saw was hysterical. Everything was blurred and kinda wavy, like I was looking at the world through the bottom of an empty water glass. There was a warm summer wind, and the trees smelled so good. Tim brought us a cup of coffee with chocolate mixed in, and all 5 of us sat and talked about all sorts of things. Like maybe if our universe was just a tiny little speck of lint that a huge giant hadn't noticed on his sweater, and someday soon, who knows if this great giant would just brush us off or toss us into a washer and drown us all to death. Donna said maybe our idea of hundreds of years is only a split second to this giant, and soon something would have to happen, because how long can someone keep a sweater on? We all liked the idea that there might be other little universes or balls of lint on this sweater, and we thought someday we'd like to meet a few people from these other places, as long as they were nice to us. We could hear a little bit of music coming out of the roadhouse, and I just had to get up and dance a little. I felt better than I had in ages, just floating in the night air and feeling warm inside. Donna even danced with me for a few minutes until she realized we had to go meet our tour bus. We had to lie and say we rented the bikes from the Lost and Found at the sheriff's station, but I don't think the guys bought that story at all. They were nice not to say anything to us about it if they did know. Maybe it added excitement to their night, too. Then again, maybe not, because they're older and probably had much more exciting nights than that. When we were riding home, we kept having to stop because we had such giggles. Then I got the most outrageous craving for cookies and milk, like I'd die if I didn't have any, and Donna agreed 100% that we had to have something sweet. She said there was pie at her house, but that didn't seem right, so we emptied our pockets and went into the cash and carry for treats. We bought so much junk that we had to walk our bikes back to Donna's house so that we could each hold a bag. All the way home we were paranoid, just like the guys said we would be, because our eyes were all bloodshot and we wanted to get home before our parents did. We totally lucked out, because just when we got into the house, Dr. Hayward called and said they were going to be a bit longer because Benjamin was showing slides or something. Thank God. We ran upstairs and put eye drops in our eyes, then turned on the stereo and ate and danced and laughed, and we were totally sound asleep when everyone got back. I know drugs are bad, but I'm beginning to get the feeling that I like being that way. Kind of bad. More tomorrow, Laura. October 20th, 1985. Dear Diary, it's a little over a week and I have more news. Sorry I haven't written, but it's really been kind of crazy around here. Well, inside me at least. Home is just the same. Irritating more than anything else. God, I feel so trapped sometimes, like I have to wear this permanent grin on my face or else everyone freaks out on me. I wonder if pain, the kind that doesn't just happen when your cat is killed or when an ant dies, but the kind that you have to live with, can it ever be a friend? Pain as a shadow or a companion? I wonder if that's possible. Anyway, the news is strange. I'm a little nervous about how much I've enjoyed the danger of it all, but I'll tell you everything and get it off my chest. Maybe it'll be like my dreams, less difficult to understand if I see it on paper. Here goes. Last Friday night, the day before yesterday, Donna and I went back to the bookhouse at about 4 in the afternoon. I guess we were hoping to see Josh and Tim and their friend again, and we could get high on another funny cigarette. We got sort of dressed up, not too dressy or crazy, because we do know everyone in town practically, and we didn't want it to get back to our parents. But we had on skirts that were pretty short and a little tighter than most people would approve of, except boys, of course. And we played with some makeup that Donna's mom, Mrs. Hayward, had given her as an Easter present, because Donna wanted to try some, and her mom wanted her to have her own. Anyway, again, we got to the bookhouse and no one except Big Jake Morrissey was there. He's the guy who runs the place. I guess I should tell you about it so you can imagine where I was. It's a coffee house, mostly for guys. Girls are allowed, but it's more like a guys' hangout. There are books everywhere on the tables and shelves, which all linked all three walls, all the way to the back. It smells like cigarettes, aftershave, and coffee. There's always coffee brewing. And this time I was inside. I noticed a picture of the man perfect for my fantasies. I didn't say anything, of course, but he's just perfect. Rough and tough, but has puppy dog eyes and soft skin. The picture is of him in jeans and a leather jacket, holding a book and sitting on his motorcycle reading. I'm in love. So we were the only ones in the place, and Jake gave us coffee and said that people would be coming in soon, and it might be wise if we left when they started coming in, especially dressed like we were. He was half joking, half serious when he asked us, "Are you girls looking for trouble of a boy nature?" Donna turned all red, and I just told him that I would tell Mom or Dad if they ever found out. Oh, I'm sorry. I just told him what I would tell Mom or Dad if they ever found out. We're just playing around pretending. It's just for fun, not for trouble. He understood, or bought it rather, and after we finished our coffee, we left. On the way out, though, I told Jake that about a week ago, 3 really nice Canadian boys had been there, and had helped Donna and I fix our flat tires after we had run over the broken beer bottle glass that's always out in front of the roadhouse. I told him that if he saw them, Josh, Tim, and another guy with blonde hair, that he should tell them that we wanted to thank them with a cup of coffee or something. Then I told him we'd probably be out back just talking if they showed up. Jake said he'd relay the message if they came in. You guessed it. They showed up. Jake must have told them what I said because they came out laughing and giving us a hard time for lying to them before. Donna was pretty quick and smart to say that we wanted to make sure you guys were cool before we told you who we were or anything. They all said we looked really nice, and I found out the third guy's name was Rick, and all of them were 22. We said our age wasn't important and wouldn't stop any of us from having fun as long as we were home by 10. If it was going to be later, we would have to call. Josh said he had some alcohol, and if there was a place we knew of to build a small fire or something out in the woods, we could all go out there and have a little party. By this time, it was about 5:30 or so. They were in a truck this time instead of on bikes, and so Donna and I got in the open back and told them to cross Lucky Highway 21 and head into the woods behind Lowtown. We both figured it would be safer there, and if anything happened, I could just say that I had gotten lost with Donna and that we had taken a walk or something and lost track of where we were. It would be okay, I figured, no matter what. These guys seemed nice enough, so we trusted them a second time. We got to a place where there was a stream and hardly any needles on the ground, so the fire would be a safe idea. Tim and Rick looked for kindling while Josh opened up this bottle of, I guess it was gin that he had. The only alcohol Donna and I had ever had was a glass of champagne. 1 glass at Dr. Hayward's birthday party last year. This was brand new to both of us. Donna seemed excited, but nervous too. I was just plain excited, and was the first to drink a sip of it after Josh. We just passed it around until it was empty. Donna and I were really messed up almost instantly. Rick kept saying, "They're toasted, man." Both Donna and I had to pee, so we went away from the fire about 30 feet and crouched down behind a tree. For a moment there, we were both scared. Real scared. We didn't know how to act, and both of us kept thinking we were saying stupid things or sounding too young or something. When I stood up, my head got light. I thought to myself, it's too late now, you're already drunk, you better just enjoy it and don't forget to keep watching the time. Donna agreed that we had just better go with the flow and stick close together in case we got scared again. Tim turned on the truck stereo, and I asked if it would be stupid if I danced around for a while because I liked the song. All 3 said it was okay, and Donna just sat there staring at the fire for a while. Tim went and sat really close to her and whispered something in her ear. Her eyes got real big and she kind of laughed and then relaxed. I guess he made her feel good or pretty or something. I'll have to remember to ask her what he whispered to her. So I was dancing, and Josh and Rick couldn't stop watching me, and I was feeling pretty comfortable or confident or both, but I just went a little bit crazy and got into a sexier dance, one that I practiced alone in my room in front of the mirror. I moved my hips around in circles and let my arms move slow, and sometimes I touched my hips like it felt good to touch myself. Darn. Mom's calling me downstairs to do the dishes. I'll be right back, there's lots more. Love, Laura. Diary, I'm back. Sorry I had to stop. So I was dancing, and Donna saw what I was doing and looked at me like I was crazy. She looked around for a minute, and I guess she wanted to be part of the attention too or something, because she looked at her watch and said, "Let's go skinny dipping." That right there should tell you how drunk Donna was. Everybody got quiet and just listened to the music for a second, then said, "Yeah, okay." So Donna and I took off our clothes. All of them. We almost left our panties on, but we were afraid they would think we were stupid little girls. They were all in the stream sitting together, or sitting against the rocks when we came back to the fire. The stream is probably 3.5 feet deep at its deepest place. So they were sitting there, and we set our clothes down and stood by the fire for a minute. When we moved toward the water, Josh said, "Stop. There, just for a minute." So we did. And after a minute of us just waiting, he said to Tim and Rick, "Have you ever in your life seen such a beautiful sight as these two girls?" They both made noises like they liked it too. Donna and I kind of moved a little when we realized they were staring at us like that. That close, you know? Tim said, "Look at the way the fire makes shadows on their skin." Donna and I looked at each other, then looked back toward them. They were hard to see because we were so close to the light, and they were in the dark in the stream. Rick just said, please come into the water with us." We did. It was so amazing. The way they felt when we got close under the water, soft and slippery, was like I was dreaming. I'd never felt anything so nice and so close to what I'd fantasized about. All of them had I guess I'd call them cocks, because penis sounds like a word you'd only read in sex ed books. So they were all hard. And I said, mainly because I knew Donna was more freaked out than I was by all of this, I said, "Let's make tonight a play night. We can all go home with that nice feeling of wishing more happened. Donna and I are not going to go all the way with you." When it came out of my mouth, I couldn't believe it for a second. Who was talking? What was I, Laura Palmer, a 13 years old, doing out here in the woods like this with 3 naked boys 9 years older than I am? They all said okay, but Josh said, "Can we at least touch you and maybe get a kiss?" Donna looked at me the same way she did a year ago when Maddie was talking about kissing. I told them I didn't mind, but if Donna did, they couldn't force her. Something tells me now, when I look back, that this was probably the most excited these guys had been ever. I don't think they would have done anything bad even if we had asked for it, because they were just as scared. It was such a personal and strange night. It was like the woods got us all acting crazy, like the trees and the fact that it had gotten dark made us forget anything else existed. It was 8:30, and we only had about an hour until we would have to go back home. I kneeled down in the stream in front of Josh and got my hair wet. Then I looked at him and I said, "You can touch them if you want to. It's okay." So he was real slow, and he put his hands on my breasts, which had gotten to be a good size, I think, for my age, and he shook for a second like he was amazed. I felt like I was on top of the world. I was making this 22-year-old boy go crazy inside. He touched them, then touched just my nipples, and I had a hard time not saying how good that felt, so I laughed. Tim started touching Donna's breasts, and she just watched him silently as he did it. Rick didn't have anyone to be with, so I said, "You can touch me too, but remember, we all made a deal, right?" He nodded and crawled in the water up to me and put his mouth on my nipple. I had to close my eyes so that they wouldn't come out of my head completely. It felt so incredible. I couldn't help but think of the guy in the photo in the bookhouse, and even if this sounds weird, I'm going to say it. I had the sexiest thought that he was nursing on me, like inside me was all this warmth and nourishment he would ever need, this older boy needing me. I felt strong and almost like I was making a fantasy for them. Josh put his mouth on my other nipple, and Tim and Donna moved away from us a little in the water and just started talking. Then Donna got out with Tim and got dressed and just sat by the fire, talking more. I didn't care, or couldn't care. I wasn't going to stop this until I had to. It felt too good to spoil it. I whispered to Josh and Rick that I had a wish that one of them would kiss me, real soft and slow, and that maybe the other could keep touching me the way they were doing already. Rick said Josh could kiss me as long as he got one too later or whatever. So Josh leaned to me and got real close, and just before he was going to kiss me, he said real quiet, "Softly, right?" And I told him yes. And he said, "Soft and slow." And he opened his mouth, and I opened mine. And our tongues started to move together like we were wanting more and more. But it wasn't fast. It was slow. So nice and slow. And Rick was sucking on my nipples and making noises like he was hungry and getting fed, or like he was eating an ice cream that was delicious. No matter what he was feeling, believe me, I felt 10 times better than what he sounded. I went into a dream for I don't know how long while this was happening, and it was like nothing bad ever happened to me, ever. Everything disappeared, and I suddenly didn't care if I never saw Donna, Mom, Dad, anyone, ever again. This warm feeling of being needed, wanted, and special, like I was a treasure, was all I wanted to feel forever. I had no age, and there was no time or schoolwork or troubles or chores or anything to cloud my mind or bring me back to little Laura. I was ageless, and I was everything these two boys wanted. I was something from their dreams. Rick began to kiss me next, and he was just as gentle and sweet, but had a different way of kissing. He moved his tongue and lips differently, and he would stop and bite very softly sometimes on my lips like a tease. I know I'm going on, diary, but I have to tell someone, and Donna, even though she was there, really wasn't there the way that I was. She wasn't ready for it, for the way it would make her feel. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but Donna is still more interested in being good all the way through. Me, I think that I am being good as much as I can, and maybe more than most people, but I've needed to forget things for a long time now, and this was an incredible solution. Nothing more than that happened in this dream, except I did touch both of them between the legs. I was soft to them the way they were with me, and I thought it was wonderful that they were so hard, and that their hardness floated in the water. Something I could only feel and not see, just the way I wanted it. I was able to want more, but able to enjoy what I had. Tim and Donna exchanged phone numbers while I was getting dressed, and the only thing I was at all worried about was that I was really drunk and starting to feel a little sick to my stomach. I guess Donna was too, because Tim said, maybe we should help them throw up or something so that it doesn't happen when they get home. Donna here is worried, about how she would explain it to her parents. I couldn't believe how cool these guys were being to us. They didn't crack one joke or make us feel like we were nothings next to them. I know we aren't, but it was nice, especially in the state we were in, not to hear anything like that. Rick said there was chewing gum in the truck's glove compartment, and if we wanted some, we could have it. I tried to picture going home the way I was, tipsy and all dazed. Throwing up didn't sound like fun, but Tim suggested it might help sober us up, so Donna and I went off and stuck our fingers down our throats. Up it came. It was awful, but I did feel better, and Donna said it was easier for her to walk after that. I said we should probably get going, and that if they didn't mind, maybe they could drop us like a block from home, either house. I thought the truck ride, the fresh air would help too. Hang on a second, diary. Mom wants a kiss goodnight. Okay, I'm back. Thank God she didn't see you. When the boys dropped us off, we hopped out of the back, and Tim kissed Donna's hand really romantically, and Rick and Josh said they really enjoyed meeting her. I went to the driver's window where Josh was, and I was about to thank him, and I guess just say whatever came out, but he stopped me. A chill ran down my back. He put his finger over my lips and said, "I don't think I'll ever forget you, Laura." And he smiled, and Rick said, "Thanks for trusting us the way you did." They drove off, and Donna and I almost cried. We were a block from Donna's house, and we each put an extra piece of gum in our mouths and rehearsed our story. We were in the woods just talking. We were making up stories and talking about dreams we had and the future. Donna said she didn't feel like she was lying because that's what she and Tim did do. They kissed a couple of times, and Donna admitted right before we walked into her house that she really liked it. I decided we shouldn't explain anything we did while we were out unless someone asked. I've seen people over-explain things, and it makes them seem like they're lying or hiding something, which we would be. Donna's parents were asleep on the couch when we walked in, and we snuck past them and up to Donna's room. We brushed our teeth and fixed our hair a little, and before we went downstairs, we hugged each other. We didn't say a word. We just hugged. I think it was our way of saying that it was our secret, and that we were still friends, and that we were okay. We were home, and we were okay. Donna woke her dad up and said we'd been waiting to wake him because he looked so peaceful, sleeping there, leaning with his head on Miss Hayward's shoulder. He offered to drive me home, so I called Mom, and she said she hadn't even realized the time because she was reading a really good book. She said Dad was already in bed. She said she'd wait up for me. I don't feel guilty about what happened, but I think that's only because no one was worried and the boys were so nice. I just can't help but get sad inside when I realize that it's over. That night is gone, and I'm Laura again, 13 years old, and the apple of my daddy's eye. Not with anger, but with anticipation. I look forward to being older and on my own with no one but me to answer to. God bless Mom and Dad, Troy, Jupiter, rest his soul, and the boys, Josh, Tim, and Rick. Thank you, God, for giving me those few hours of bliss. More soon, L.